Welcome back to Excel. I have entered a text box here because I wanted to put that in an assignment in our Canvas course, but I'm going to show you how to do that now just in a video. So if we go to Insert, and then depending on how wide your window is, it might just look like this with the text. Yours might already show the text box kind of thing here, but if you click on that, it'll automatically kind of put that, and then you can resize it. And this does sit like on top of your spreadsheet. So notice it covers data and histograms and things. So if you do, or it is part of the assignments, when you do use a textbook, please, text box, please make sure that you're setting it off to the side to where it's not covering anything that you're trying to also display. Okay, I will delete that now. Okay, in this video, we are mainly talking about calculating the mean, median, and mode of a data set. So we're going to go into sheet 4. I'm going to rename this, let's say measures of central tendency. So I'm going to shorten it, measures of central tendency. MOCT, I just made it up, but I mean, I'm sure other people have used that before, but okay. So candy corn guesses, I'm going to go ahead and copy this over here. Okay, so Excel is great. Mean, median, mode. We can calculate these things very quickly. So far in our class, we've been calculating these by hand. So I just wanted to point that out. In fact, I'll calculate them here, but I also think then is a good opportunity to show you how to copy and paste things, because on our very first page, we've already kind of started a table where we have some summary statistics. So maybe this is a good chance to copy some of our other summary statistics onto that table so that we can have it all in one place. Okay, so mean, median, and mode. In Excel, one way to quickly see the average or mean of a data set is if you highlight the data. So in a different video, I showed you that if you highlight data, at the bottom here, it will pop up with the average, how many data values there are with data. I'll say it counts the cells that have items in it. So there are 44 cells that have values in it. And then it also shows you the sum or the total if you were to add all of these up. Regarding what I was just saying about the count, notice if I do something like this, if I highlight this, it will say 3 down here accurately. If I highlight all of these, it will still say 3. So it's not counting the total number of cells you're highlighting, it's counting the number of cells that you have data in. Okay, just wanted to either remind you or point that out. Okay, back up here. So that's one way to see the mean very quickly, but if we wanted to use it in formulas in Excel, which we will when we reference things, then we can use the average function. So notice here it says returns the average or the arithmetic mean of its arguments. So double click. Again, instead of doing this one by one, Excel is really efficient when we highlight an entire data set. So click and drag from the top down, equals. And this is our mean. So let's interpret what this means. Okay, so this is the average guess of all 44 guesses is 428 I'm going to round, 0.73. I also want to remind you here, you can round in Excel. It will round for you. So if you come up here and like take away decimal places until you get the number of digits you want, it will automatically round it. And so that's very convenient. It's helpful. You can check your rounding. Okay, that's the mean. So the average guess of all 44 guesses is 428.73. That means if you were to add all of these values up and divide by the number of values that are there, that's going to be what you get. So let's go ahead and do that too. We won't add them all up individually, but I do want to show you how you can do that in Excel. So if we type equals sum, so sum adds things together. So if you do equals sum, we can add together all of these data values. So when we find the mean of a data set, we are finding the sum of all of the data values, and then we divide. So now we have to use another Excel function. So I think this is the first time we're using like 2 Excel functions in one. So excited. Okay, so we're taking the sum of all of this and we divide by how many are there. So we could just type in 44 because we know that it's 44, but I want to show you how to use two functions within one cell. Okay, so divided by the count of this. So remember, the count function is calculating how many cells there are values in. So we see the sum of all of this divided by the count, and we should end up with the same value because this is what the mean is. Ta-da! And we can round here. There we go. Okay, just wanted to show you another way to do that. Okay, the median. Some of these functions will be, I'll say you can guess them pretty quickly. Equals median is the function to find the median. So if we double click on this, highlight all of our data, hit enter, this will give us the median. I want to remind you the median is Q2, also the 50th percentile. So the median is the value that is halfway between the data sets. So if we go find 344, again, it's not here. Remember, if we have a data set with an even number of values, which we do here, there will not be a very, very middle number. There will be two middle numbers. So in order to find the median, what we do is take the average of these two values. So one way you can do that is we've already looked at how to use this function in Excel. So average these two, it will give you that value. Another thing you can do here is to calculate this by referencing the cells. So we can say we want to add these two together. So again, we're really jumping into using Excel in a lot of different ways to calculate the same values because I want you to do whatever makes the most sense to you. Because I want you to feel proficient in Excel. So again, I want you to just really think, I want you to do what makes the most sense to you because that's how you're going to end up using it in your life and in your careers. So if we add these two and divide by 2, that is also the same thing as finding the average of these two values. So we should also get 344. There. If we come over here to our box plot, which is where we found Q2, P50, notice here we also have 344. So confirming, Excel is doing all of this, at least so far, very well. This value is the value, and we've already interpreted that on this page, but this value is the guess that has 50% of the data higher than it and 50% of the data lower than it. So if we come over to this page and back out, notice 344, which is right between these two, is halfway between the minimum and the maximum. Alrighty. Moving on to the mode. Okay, mode is a very interesting function in Excel. So if we go ahead and start typing mode, notice here we have several options, mode mult and mode single. So this is, in my opinion, this is the weirdest function, like in terms of what we'll encounter in statistics. Some data sets, as we've learned, have multiple modes. So if there's a data set that has two different numbers listed the most frequently, both of those numbers are the modes of the data set. If you use mode single, this will only tell you one value, even if there's more than one mode. I don't know why they even made it like this. So if I were, let's just say that there were two modes in this data set. If I used this, it would only give me one of them. And that to me is not accurate. So I'm going to show you how to use the one that I always use in case there is more than one mode. It is just slightly more complicated to use it, but it's way more accurate if you're looking for modes of data set, especially if there could be more than one mode. Okay, so in order to do this, we have to back up and start over. All right, so what we have to do is highlight several cells. There is no rhyme or reason as to how many I'm highlighting, except that I want to highlight as many cells as I suspect there might be modes. So what is going to eventually happen here is Excel will spit back one mode per line for however many there are. So in this case, I'm guessing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm kind of banking that there's not more than 6 modes, if there's even more than one. So I'm just going to highlight this many and see what happens. You can always like come back and adjust and add more if there ends up being more than however many you've highlighted. All right, so we've highlighted that many. Now start typing equals mode. Okay, and then we're going to choose mode.molt. So I'm going to do this again because it's odd. Okay, I'm going to erase everything, start over. I'm just going to highlight a random number of cells, type in equals mode, and go to mode.molt, which means like multiple modes. Then we're going to highlight the entire data set like this. And then you don't just hit enter. Oh, no, it's complicated. We don't just hit enter here. We have to hit Control Shift Enter. Okay. So when you hit Control Shift Enter, it will return back however many modes you have. What turns out in this data set is that we only have one mode. And the one mode we have is 340. So this is the guess that was guessed most frequently. So let's go look at that. 340 right here. So it's listed twice. So this guess was guessed twice by 2 people in this data set. And that was the most frequent. It repeated it because we only have one. So in theory, we can just go ahead and delete these. Well, it won't, whatever, you can adjust it after. It won't let you delete the situation. You can figure that out. Okay. But I want to show you what happens if there are more than one mode. So for a brief moment, I'm just going to go ahead and add in this so that we have 2 modes. I'm going to start over here and just show you that it will show you that there's more than one mode. Okay, so remember, oopsies, to start this one, we have to highlight more than one cell, like several cells, go to mode.molt, highlight our entire data set, and here I've added this additional one down here just to have 2 values to demonstrate how this works. Okay, so then we have Control Shift Enter, and now it will return 340 and 1,510 because the data set that we entered here, those were the 2 modes. They were listed the most frequently. Everything else was only listed once, meaning all of the other guesses were unique. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type 340 here, knowing that I showed you how to calculate that with, I'm going to go ahead and delete this row. Okay, so I showed you how to calculate that with a function, but I just wanted to show you how to use that in several situations. Okay, so mean, median, and mode. I will pause here because this is how we have calculated them. And in the next video, I'll kind of start talking about how to interpret them along with finding the mean of a relative frequency table.